computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Week Ahead News Show. Once again, with just me, Liam, today for this show, episode 72, here on the Lee Doodle channel. Hope everyone's having a great start to your week. Let's get right into it. It is August 24th, 2026. Love to see it. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell. We'll be notified whenever we go live. Our Facebook's in the description as well. Weather looking well. We'll go right into it. Right now in Youngstown, it's about 65. Looking about today, we had a high of 73, low of 56. Tomorrow, we have a high of 78, low of 57. Wednesday, partly cloudy tomorrow as well, just like today. Wednesday, just cloudy, high of 80, a little bit hotter, low of 58. Thursday, rainy, 50% chance of rain, high 80 again, low of 63. Not as cold. But these low, mid, low 60s and high 50s are kind of bad for plants, so be ready for that. Friday, we have a high of 30% chance of rain, 77 high, 59 low. Saturday, 77 high again, 53 low, partly sunny. Sunday, partly sunny, high 82, getting hotter, low of 58. Next Monday, 30% chance of rain, getting a little bit warmer next week. High 82, low of 58, and then, high 85, low of 66. Sunday's for high 82. Next Tuesday, we have a high 84, same with next Wednesday, so it's kind of getting hotter. Right now, a moon is in the waxing gibbous. We have about 90% illumination. Moon set at 12:44 a.m. Moon rise at 6:30 p.m. With our next full moon in 4 days for them vampires. And we see right now, actually, because we can see the moon so early, because our first light today was at 6:12, sunrise today at 6:41 a.m. Our sunset today is actually at 8:07 now. Last light about 8:30. So while we're seeing the moon that early as well. Our total daylight about 13 hours and 26 minutes, which is always awesome to see. But not as good as, how it does in June, so we get what we get. Let's go right on to it. Take a quick swig of water, and we'll go right on to our funny topic. Sorry about that, guys. We have stocks too, real quick. Today, the Dow was up about 0.26%. NASDAQ was down 0.76%. S&P was down 0.28%. The Russell was down 0.76% as well. For last week, let's get for the last 5 days, S&P 500 was about down 1.44 points. For the past month, it's been up 2.19, and the year-to-date is about 12.10. Dow Jones last week was down about 1%, 0.92. It's up about 1.94 for the month, and year-to-date about 10.77. NASDAQ was down the last 5 days, minus 2.17. For the last month, it was up 1.2. For the year-to-date, it's actually doing very well at about 12.5% up. Russell was down as well, 1.73%. However, for last month, it was up 0.94%, and the year-to-date, it's doing very well, up 21.49% as well. Market still had a bad week. However, broader 2026 trend remains positive. S&P is up more than 12% for the year, over NASDAQ's up about 12.5%, like I said before, which is awesome. I'm showing that small market stocks have actually overperformed the large cap stocks this year. I'm looking for the month, so it's good to see everything. What's up? Big investors are heading next week and this week. It's simply a normal pullback from a strong rally in the summer, or beginning of a larger correction. Investors will keep watching NVIDIA's earnings, inflation data, including the upcoming PCE report, Treasury yields, oil prices, because gas is still at $4 right now, which is crazy at the end of the summer. Federal Reserve. I've watched the comments at Jackson Hole as well coming up. So, we'll go right into a funny topic. Trump's manosphere fans are apparently having a meme crisis right now, I guess. I always try to look up, funny political topics, and this is one that came up, and I'm like, I don't even know what half this stuff means, so this would be interesting. One of the most unusual political stories last week is a place you may not expect, the online manosphere. These are podcasts, influencers, and streamers and online communities that become part of Donald Trump's coalition of younger male voters during the 2024 election. That makes sense, like the Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan type of guys. Now some of those same voices are starting to turn on Trump, and the internet is doing what the internet does best, turning the political breakup into a meme. During his 2024 campaign, Trump made a major effort to reach young men throughout podcasts and online personalities. I think he was on oh my god, that one guy. I'm not good with a lot of the really famous guys, but I know he's on Kick. We talked of him, such as Joe Rogan and other influencers. Creators gave Trump access to millions of people who may have been watching traditional political news. The strategy worked. The manosphere became an important part of Trump's political image. Politically, his portrayal as a tough, masculine, and anti-established leader, but our relationship has become more complicated recently. A major source of attention has been Trump's foreign policy, particularly the war in Iran. The New Republic reports that some figures who once presented Trump as an almost unbeatable political warrior are now criticizing the conflict and decisions. Joe Rogan, for example, has described the war as extremely negative in terms and accused Trump of betraying some people who have supported him. Same with the Epstein files too. We talked about this before, and it's kind of funny because his first term in office was a lot like this too, and that's when the meme crisis comes in. So it's kind of funny. It's all online. If you're online communities that help build Trump's image as the ultimate alpha male are now dealing with the awkward reality that their political hero isn't necessarily doing what they expected. Some influencers who supported Trump because they believe he represented an anti-establishment American first approach and would avoid getting the United States involved in another major war, like he said, in foreign conflict, when Trump instead became associated with major international confrontation, and some enthusiasts began turning into frustration. The irony is almost too perfect for the internet. To make sure you look that up online, it's kind of funny to see as well. There's a lot of memes, clips, and jokes all over it, so all over social media, really. And there's probably I always like YouTube summarizations. They kind of always have stuff like that as well. Quick international topic is via U.S.-Iran. The conflict appears to be stuck in a dangerous stalemate, with diplomacy failing to produce a deal, and the Strait of Hormuz remaining a central flashpoint. According to CBS News, the 6-day period has been set aside for negotiations over ending the conflict, and reopening the Strait of Hormuz expired this week without a deal. 2 months. Thanks, Trump. Instead of announcing a major breakthrough, President Donald Trump threatened additional military pressure, including warning directed at Oman, while negotiations remain essentially frozen. Things that would be the biggest issue is the Strait of Hormuz. It's one of the most important energy checkpoints. Iran says it maintains control of the waterway, while Trump has repeatedly claimed that the United States can assert a freedom of navigation. I think it's because Iran controls basically, if it's like the Panama Canal, they control the canal, the waterway itself, kind of a bridge. But the Army and the Navy have a blockade on the outside of it, so they can kind of control, hey, if you want to come out, you got to pass us. So it's kind of for both people, it's getting taxed, and I think that's some of the issue as well. For increasing the prices, is that the U.S. and Iran's kind of taxing people going through right now. CBS reported earlier this month that Iran rejected Trump's claims of U.S. control, calling them false, and insisting that the Strait remained under Iranian control. And this became one of the biggest online discussion points of the last week. Social media users have turned the Hormuz dispute into a combination of a geopolitical debate, memes, arguments, and whether the United States should even be involved. Supporters of Trump actually argue that maintaining pressure on Iran is necessary to force Tehran into a favorable agreement, but it's been so long, and now we're getting paid for it. Critics argue that the administration repeatedly stressed the war is closing and ending, only for the conflict to continue, and Trump said, hey, it's okay paying for gas, we can't have them have a nuclear bomb, which is crazy. Coming from a person that, like we talked about before, tries to talk to bomb a deal with Iran so much, and now we're paying for it, literally, so it's just for another deal that may not even happen. Once again, it leads into other major stories, how Trump's changing deceptions for war. Trump has repeatedly suggested that the agreement could be close, while simultaneously threatening additional military or economic action. This week, CBS reported Trump announced what called a crushing economic operation against Iran, while saying negotiations could potentially resume later. So it's kind of hard to negotiate against someone, too, when you keep hitting them, and that's something we talked about, too. Maybe give them a break and then actually negotiate. But that's kind of a problem with that tough man persona as well, and just being dumb. It's interesting. There's a lot of debate online. Can economic pressure actually end the war, or will it simply make the conflict longer? I mean, we see that with Ukraine. Is economic pressure actually doing anything? CBS is also forcing the role of Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. Dubai could become extremely important because the UAE is a major U.S. partner in the region and a critical economic hub. The effectiveness of Washington's economic campaign could depend heavily on whether countries such as UAE cooperate with Americans' pressure on Iran, which will be interesting as well. Meanwhile, Iran is trying so it's not completely isolated. CBS reported Iran permits some Iraqi oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, following a request from Baghdad. This is significant because it suggests that Tehran may be willing to selectively allow shipping, while still using the strait as leverage against the United States and our allies, which is not good at all. It's interesting that after months of fighting, the United States and Iran appear to be in a caught between a war and diplomacy. The Trump administration is increasing economic pressure, and Iran is refusing to surrender its leverage over Hormuz, and negotiations still remain uncertain, and we can't really trust Trump, or it's kind of hard to trust Iran too, so crazy to me. In the history books, they're just going to laugh at both of his presidencies, but just him as a president as a whole, and I can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it. Our national topic tonight is kind of interesting. It's the explosion of ticks and alpha-gal syndrome. Interesting. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out about what that is. According to CBS News, a new health concern is changing ways some Americans think about spending time outdoors, but just be smart about it. The growing number of ticks and the rise of alpha-gal syndrome, potentially serious allergy caused by certain tick bites. CBS News reported that emergency non-room visits for tick bites are now at the highest level in nearly a decade, and ticks expand into new areas of the United States. This alpha-gal syndrome, unlike Lyme disease, alpha-gal isn't caused by a bacterial virus. Instead, a bite from the Lone Star tick can cause a person's immune system to become sensitive to a sugar molecule called alpha-gal. Afterwards, eating certain mammal products can trigger an allergic reaction. Crazy! That's not fun. I wonder who developed that. Not gonna talk about that one. Crazy how these ticks are so good at spreading diseases. I wonder who taught them that. Who took that tick on a walk and gave him this disease. This means someone who has been bitten could potentially develop an allergy to beef, pork, lamb, venison, rabbit, or other, oh my god, mammalian meats. That's horrible, but it makes you a vegan. Vegetarian, I guess, my bad. Some people can also react to dairy products. Oh my god, or indigestive ingredients derived from animals. It has to be like so scientifically based. That's crazy to me. In severe cases, the reaction can cause anaphylaxis, or a life-threatening allergic reaction. It can cause the airways to close. Jesus Christ. That's fun. Yeah. That's some more stuff. That's a bioweapon. One of the strange aspects of it is the timing. Unlike many food allergies that cause symptoms relatively quickly, alpha-gal reactions occur several hours after eating. This delay can make it extremely difficult for someone to realize a hamburger of a food is responsible for their symptoms. That's interesting. CBS News focuses heavily on Martha's Vineyard. Interesting, that's the East Coast. Let's look up history on Lyme disease and where Lyme disease might come from. That's all I'm going to say about that. Interesting, it comes from the East Coast. And this is from the East Coast. Well, alpha-gal has become a significant problem. Residents interviewed with stories described changing their lifestyles because they're afraid of additional tick bites. Some families have stopped spending time in wooded areas, while restaurants have even created special menus for people who cannot eat red meat or other mammalian products. Wow. But experts point out that alpha-gal isn't really a brand new disease. It was identified in the United States in the late 2000s, kind of still pretty new, and the people of the South and Midwest have been dealing with it for years. What's changed is the amount of awareness surrounding it, and the expansion of Lone Star ticks in the areas where they weren't previously common, especially with that heat change, climate change, it's getting harder in certain areas. as a whole, kind of, you know what I mean? Them ticks are going to go with it and affect more people. That's crazy to me. So why is there so many ticks? Deer are a major part of the equation. White-tailed deer provide an important host for Lone Star ticks. One deer can support thousands of ticks during a season, and females can lay thousands of eggs. Experts interviewed by CBS say that managing deer populations could therefore help reduce tick populations. And I think that is one thing, since we aren't getting like the hunters like we used to. I think we should also have like branches of the EPA or ODNR going out and just killing some deer. You know, I mean, if hunters don't get all of a good amount of deer, maybe we have them go out on our own. And we could be, you know, these are people that like know ODNR at least kind of like know how to conserve the environment. At least on a plant basis, I'm guessing they probably know. Maybe there's like a wildlife group. But like they could focus on like, okay, how many deer do we need in each area? But there has to be ways, because another good story too is that my stepdad, one time he was hunting and he told me he saw a deer and walked up to it and it turned black because all the ticks on the deer stopped biting the deer once it's dead, and he just walked away from it. And I'm like, I would have too, bro. And it's funny that people like are fine, and there's a lot of like other diseases that even come from the meat of deer nowadays. It's scary, you know what I mean? Yeah, especially how much ticks there are and just how many people eat deer. The biggest takeaway is prevention. Experts recommended using insect repellent, treating clothing with permethrin. And I feel like I've seen deer clothing. I was at Bass Pro Shop and they had like deer hunting clothing and outdoor clothing that had like tick spray built in and said like insect repellent, which is really cool. Wearing clothing that makes ticks easier to spout. Tucking pants in the socks when entering tick habitats. I always do that. And checking your body carefully. After being outdoors, I always like taking a shower because ticks, like, it takes a while for them to actually bite into you. Putting outdoor clothes into a hot dry for about 10 minutes could also kill ticks that may have came inside. That's always a good one. Tick population is expanding, and the syndrome actually is turning into something as ordinary as eating a hamburger into a potential medical emergency for some people, which is scary. It's kind of funny, you know, God turning people vegan just by ticks. So I mean, you know. If you believe in that stuff, and I get it sometimes, you know, maybe that's what God wanted for you, to be vegan. Another story is a reminder that changes in wildlife populations, climate, and human development can have unexpected consequences for public health, and that just a tiny tick can sometimes have a very big impact, like we've seen with Lyme disease for such a long time. We'll go right on to our last topic, and that'll be it for the night, guys. Hope everyone's having a great night. We'll have the Thursday show for Northeast Iowa Sports Show, talking about Ryan Blaney won in New Hampshire yesterday. Our boy Ryan Blaney from Northern Trumbull County, Hartford, Trumbull County. Awesome to see him win in New Hampshire. So love to see it. We have Daytona this weekend, right before basically I believe it's called the Chase or playoffs for NASCAR. So can't wait for that, guys. Take a quick swig of water and we'll go right into a local talk. Alright, on to a local topic, our last topic for the night. It's Mahoney County Court denies racial discrimination. Crazy, this guy is in so many issues. I believe this was the same guy that got caught like getting drunk and vaping weed with and taking edibles with some of his co-workers. A major local political news story this week involves Mahoney County Clerk of Courts, Michael Cicerone, who is now formally pushing back against a racial discrimination lawsuit filed by one of his former employees. Controversy centers on Faye Scott of Jard, a former administrator in the Mahoney County Clerk's Office. Scott, who is black, filed a lawsuit in July accusing Cicerone and his officials of racial discrimination, retaliation, and creating a hostile work environment. She is seeking damages that will include lost wages, benefits, emotional distress damages, and damages to professional reputation. So you know how that can get turned into money too, like we see when people sue other people. What's it called? Oh, I'm gonna sue you for it. It's like news or someone else, slander, stuff like that. Now Cicerone's attorney responded In response to essentially, we denied all in the court filings. Cicerone's attorney said the defendants denied liability and argued that Scott was not treated differently because of her race. The defendants also said the office had policies for handling discrimination complaints, and that the defendant acted in good faith and without malice. Just because you actually have policies doesn't mean the policies go through. But the allegations behind the lawsuits are what have made such a major local story. According to Scott's lawsuit, she received an email from former Cicerone Chief Deputy in Chief of Staff Jennifer Cicerone shortly after Jennifer Cicerone was fired. Same last name, huh? The email allegedly warned Scott that she might be next and offered to help her if she needed someone to testify or sign an affidavit. That's not good. But I remember from the story we talked about probably like a year ago, months ago now. I believe that she was mad at him because she found out that he was doing this stuff with his coworkers as well. The lawsuit her lawsuit also includes an alleged text message exchange, including Michael Cicerone, in which he used a racial slur while discussing Scott and another black employee. I mean, you can't say he did nothing wrong if that's in there. I mean, that's racial discrimination. Especially if you're a boss, you can't just, even in emails, text, you can't do that. Nope. That's fucked up. Scott says he subsequently filed a complaint from Mahoney County HR Human Resources alleging discrimination, hostile work environment, and retaliation. Her lawsuit says that there was no meaningful investigation or corrective action before she was fired in December. Sad. Why this is bigger than one lawsuit? The case is actually the largest chapter. Like we talked about before, political controversy surrounding Cicerone. Both from Mahoney County Republican and Democratic parties called for him to resign. Both parties also began legal efforts seeking for his removal from office, accusing him of problems including illegal misuse of authority, discriminatory languages, and failures of running in clerk's office. And failures in running for clerk's office, or he isn't running for office correctly. He's just having a good old time getting high. There's also been a separate controversy over office's finances. County officials said if a clerk's office has failed to file routine financial reconciliation reports for more than a year. That's scary. Leading the county to hire an outside accounting firm. The total authorized cost eventually reached approximately $75,000. Cicerone has disputed accountant's characterizations of those problems and argued that some of the issues predated his administration. I always need to say that in politics. So all the time. A lot of things we're seeing online is if the lawsuit actually result in a trial or settlement, what will happen there. A growing number of controversies around him force him out of office. And third, how does the Republican Democratic parties simultaneously calling for the same elected official to resign affect the political situation? It's unusual. It's not simply a Democratic versus Republican argument. Both parties have criticized him, while he has maintained he will not resign. Bottom line is that we should probably release his resign. The most important thing is, remember, if the allegations in the lawsuit have not been proven in court, we're kind of waiting on that. That text message is scary. And it's kind of scary if it does go out more in court, what comes out on his end too. Cicerone and his office are denying liability and say Scott was not treated differently because of a race, but that that text message proves you're wrong. But politically, the lawsuit adds another major problem to the allegedly long list of controversies surrounding Mahoney County clerk reports. So it's funny in my eyes. Who wins the lawsuit? Really hope she does and makes some money from him, because that's just messed up. Text messages alone is scary in my eyes. So. And a lot of times, you'll see, if it was a bigger company, if he had money, he would settle that real quick. You wouldn't want that coming out at all. I don't know if he has I have so much crazy stuff coming out right now. I don't care about that. Blows my mind. So it'd be kind of cool to see if it actually goes out to court and they drag him through the mud and then take his money. That'd be awesome in my end. Well, that's really it for us, guys. We had a funny topic, one local, one national. Hope everyone had a great Monday and start to the week. We'll be back here Thursday once again for our sports show, the Northeast Ohio Sports Show. I really appreciate everyone stopping by, but we can have news show. Have any comments, make sure you drop them. Really appreciate you, everyone. Even if you're watching post, not live, I really appreciate the review, and a like will help out as well. Subscribe if not already. Our Facebook's in the description. We post whenever we go live on there. That's it for me, everyone. Good night and peace.